What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing a little nugget to add to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the South Node in Capricorn in the third house. This is a busy placement. But when you talk about the South Node, you may hear the South Node referred to as K2 or as the Dragon's Tail. And the South Node, when you talk about just like the South Node, you're always going to be talking about the North Node too, because they're always in opposition with one another. They're the lunar nodes, the eclipse points. And where the North Node, I like to think about it as where you're going, an area that you're trying to get mastery over. But in order to know where you're going, you need the South Node, which is where you've been. This could be the this node can deal with the past. This can deal. I like to think of it as the wisdom that you call upon. You know, there's a lot of richness that can come from the South Node when we see ourselves in cycles. How do we adjust this stuff? Because the South Node too is the things that we've collected. You know, you can think about it. It's almost shaped like a pot, like it's like a horseshoe upside down. And so, or maybe red soda, depending on how we're looking at it. But it looks like a bowl. And so these are all the things that you've accumulated. And then with the North Node, we're gonna have to dump out some things to make space for some new stuff. But yeah, just some things to think about with the South Node. And then when you talk about Capricorn, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and they are the cardinal earth sign, receptive or yin in nature. And I find with Capricorn, it's very interesting being the cardinal earth sign. They're the initiators of matter. You know, so and with Saturn there, I find, and I'm just talking about Capricorn energy in general, I think that there is this potential of being able to build really great things, of just like long like legacies in things that you get really remembered for, whatever that thing happens to be. I mean, the first the initiate the cardinal earth is the body, you know, the first thing that comes in. Well, I mean, the earth was here, you know what I mean, we came from the earth. But this is the body, is the soul, you know, kind of manifested in this realm here. And that's Capricorn energy, us here being. So now what are we creating with this vessel? You know, that's thinking about that. And there are rules and restrictions and things about it, of course. But when we follow those rules, Saturn helps give things form and really can create brilliant things, really shape, make diamonds. You know, so it's really cool when you're working with Capricorn energy. And then you talk about the third house. This is what makes this placement so busy. This in traditional astrology was known as the house of the goddess. And some of the aspects that this thing covers are going to be, or some of the themes would be like your siblings and your sort of like relatives, friends, your neighborhood, just like your immediate environment. This can deal with this travels, especially like short journeys, and this would be like your trip to the store, to the church, to the altar, to the dry cleaners. Did we go to the store? Because if we didn't, we got to go. We just remember we got to get something else. You know, that's going to be some of the travel things. And this can also be about your sense of like community, your neighborhood, and again, just like that, again, that immediate environment, maybe like your city, things like that. And this also can deal with like communications, even like your method of transportation or mode of transportation. Then this could also deal with like mercantile activities and writing, language, speech, and there's even a divinatory aspect, or this is a very spiritual axis that these nodes are falling on. And this one really deals with like the rituals and the sacred rites, and even like oneiromancy, which is just like the dream interpretation and prophecy through the dreams there. So when you're working with this placement, a few things, or just a couple things to consider. One, you'd have a Scorpio rising by whole sign, and you're going to want to look to see where Saturn is, because Saturn's going to be in charge of this house and of your fourth house. So that's even interesting in itself. You know, there's a lot of things around the home space, around your environment, and that's some things that I would talk about. It's like, you know, what is your relationship with your environment? How does your immediate environment, especially like your family, your friends, the people you talk to, how is that broadening up your world? Where I think it's fine to have that sense of community. You want to, especially since you have that north node in the ninth house, you're going to want to experience, to get a feel for other cultures, because you're going to have Cancer in that aspect. And this is something where you're not just abandoning everything that you know, but it's something where you go to learn more about yourself through maybe other cultures so that you can enrich or enrich your current environment, your friends, your relatives, things along those lines, and maybe get them interested in some sort of things, and then create this sort of like community practice. This could be too where talking about the axis of like writing, language, speech, and things. This could be looking at your foundation if you feel like you have these visions but you need more tools to express them. This could be thinking about the areas that you can improve on. That Capricorn energy is very logical. It's very one that can really give things shape so that you can go, okay, I feel like I need to do this thing and this thing. It's like, okay, like, and then come back to what you know, and then just kind of, again, build on that, get into the ritual. I think too that what working with Saturn would be something that just getting into the relationship of that with that South Node. I think you can get just, again, a lot of really good wisdom from that. But I also think that this is one where, and I guess I think another thing would be, because eventually like that home space is going to into space, and there may be a moment where you feel like you have outgrown where you come from, and how do you keep in touch with that. Again, I think there's going to be that theme is going to be one that's more prevalent for you, where does my community support what I believe, and or do I support what my community believes. There's going to be those sort of relationships and things. There may, even if you have siblings, there may be that tension as as you grow and experience life. So there's going to be a lot of good, I think, a lot of wisdom, again, that you can call upon from this South Node there. But yeah, I think you're thinking about your community, and just thinking too about where, again, it's nice to have where you're from and to have that sense. It is nice to expand on that as well. It's not just beneficial for you, but those who you do communicate with on a daily basis there. But these are just going to be some basic things that I would talk about with someone with this placement. You definitely need the whole chart to get a better picture for this. But if you have this placement or know someone who's working with this placement, down in the description box below, leave or in the description box, you can't do anything there, but in the comments you can do all the things there. You can talk about how you've been working through this experience just right away. Let's communicate. But if you want to work with these placements more intentionally, like to maybe discover some other aspects about yourself, how to look at your chart in a new type of way, again, just like to really just, really just, work with what you got there. Down in the description box, there's a link to get in touch with me. I'm actually getting ready to change up some services here soon to kind of put them in more kind of like a package sort of thing. So definitely email me and we'll talk about the different services that I provide and just go from there. Form a relationship that you're building on your community. And also, there is on this channel, what I like to do is I do weekly videos talking about the different transits that are going on, so you can look to see when you have planets transiting through Cancer. Oh, Mars is going through Cancer right now, so that's going to be hitting your North Node at some point, opposing your South Node, or pay attention when you got planets in Capricorn, or Earth signs, water signs, cardinal signs. So if you want to just keep track of the transits on this channel, I have a playlist for all the weekly transits, Celestial News Weekly. I think it's under Weekly Transits playlist, but you'll see them. They're the real colorful backgrounds. And then if you want to get into the lunar shenanigans, there's a link for my other channel, The Chariot and Friends, where I do release videos whenever the moon changes signs and talks about what phase I'll talk about what phase she's in when she's going void of course, which we're just getting ready to, we're in the middle of one right now, depending on when you're watching this. And I'll also do an I Ching reading and a tarot card reading at the end. So all sorts of mysticism for you, something to maybe get a new feeling for you in that ninth house, something to expand your world. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.